produce up to 300 brake horsepower. If there is a future Aussie Formula One star waiting in the wings, he'll almost certainly emerge from their ranks. To call all the action here at Albert Park, here is Darryl Eastlake.
Yeah, thank you, Ken. They are our fastest class of cars, and they are extremely quick around here. Jeff Brabham, open wheelers, it's a most important class. Why don't I just set up this grid so people can read their way through that, and we'll talk about these cars because they are exciting and they certainly do produce the goods. Paul Stokel, for the last 2 years, has been the Australia's Drivers' Champion, out of this class, of course. He sits on pole. Beside him, Jason Bright, a very bright young talent. We'll talk about him during the race, as well as Mark Webber sitting back there on the second row. Arthur Abraham sits beside him. So as the grid rolls through now, and it's quite a good lineup here of cars, is probably my only criticism, Jeff, of the class. The fact that a lot of people here, the Bob Minogues and so on, have been around a long, long time. And I'm not sure that that's healthy for the class.
Well, they're adding to the numbers of the field, and certainly I think it is a very important series for Australia to cultivate, because you have, for instance, 3 guys here at the front of the field, Paul Stokel, Jason Bright and Mark Webber, who are very, very talented drivers who have the ability and have age on their side to go overseas and be successful over there. And this formula definitely provides them with a platform to gain that experience, so when they do go over and get their chance overseas, they're able to grab it with both hands.
Well, it seems now that Formula Ford is the stepping stone here in Australia, but it's a shame that Formula Ford isn't the stepping stone, that we see guys like Jason Bright and Mark Webber and Stokel coming out of that class into this class of car and then going overseas with that experience of driving these, because they're quick, they're cranky, and they are competitive, what they will race overseas.
Absolutely. Formula Ford is very, very good training, but it doesn't teach you how to drive a winged ground effect high horsepower race car. And sometimes, and in some ways, that was my disadvantage when I left Australia. You know, I didn't have that much experience in really high-powered cars, but this gives them that opportunity. And I think when they run in these type of races and then go overseas, they're a little bit better prepared for what they're going to get over there.
Totally agree. Laps, of course, 6 of them. The race distance is 32 kilometres. And you see the cars out diving around the circuit, warming up the tyres, so important here. And we've said already, because this is a new racetrack, everybody's experimenting with rubber. You don't get a lot of time to practice here. You've got to be able to work out your race car setup and your tyre compound very quickly.
Well, I think particularly with these cars, they're not going to have the problems the 5-litre cars have. These cars have very good brakes, and we have someone practicing a start there at the back of the field. I'm not quite sure that's legal, but I think he might probably get away with it. But I think these cars, they were able to run absolutely flat out the whole race and not really have any concerns with tyres or brakes.
Salvatore Astuti, that was having a little practice start. Very keen on his motor racing, and it's probably a classic example of the person I'm talking about. He's gone overseas. He's been taught in the Elf Renault class of car over in France, and he was taught by John Alacy of all people. But he's come back here. He's still in the class of car. He hasn't any great major wins, and I don't want to detract from his enthusiasm, but it seems to me that it'd be nice that you had your brightest young talents coming into these sort of cars. We talk about Stokel, as I said, 2 times, the Australian Drivers' Championship, which he won out of this class of car. And Jason Bright is based now in Fort Lauderdale, a place you're very well familiar with. He's won 2 rounds of Formula Ford over there, but that's a 2-litre championship.
Yes, I'd like to touch on that just in a little bit, because there is a story behind those 2 going overseas. But now we're just getting ready for the start. The guys are watching the red light, waiting for it to go green and hoping to get a good, clean start into the first corner and get underway.
Watch for the lights, ready to change now. We're on red. Any second there we go. Down they go. Power comes out. Everybody dives out to get the best line they can. Look at Webber. Webber dived around on the yellow car, right around the outside. Stokel at the moment looks like he's going to get the run. I'm not sure he's going to win the corner. Goes out really wide, does so too. Just tucks it back inside. Beautiful start. Out on the kitty litter, onto the grass, and in plenty of trouble. Oh, one of them. Let's hope he keeps out of the way. Boom, 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 boom. They all go past and he's okay.
Yeah, they did a very good job there. He got onto the grass, and as soon as the car, well, we had the leaders all come together. The 2 young Formula Ford guys, I think, have got together, and that's probably going to leave Paul Stokel out in front by quite a long way.
Well, you can't believe it. Look at this. Webber's out in the yellow car. We were just giving these kids such a rap. The enthusiasm goes off, and I tell you what, there's been some big accidents here. There's cars going all over the place. Jason Bright, he's come off as well. Abrahams is off. That's car 5. That's Stan Keen. Let's have another look. Let's have another look.
This is on the first corner, and I was just touching on that before. This guy did a very good job. He lost the car, he got on the grass, it got away from him again, but he was smart enough to stay on the brakes so that the car didn't roll out in front of the rest of the field.
Well, that was Chaz Jacobson, had the first of the spins. That's Chaz there. He kept out of everybody's way. Unfortunately, we were set for a good race. Now, this is the second incident. This took out the 2 fastest cars.
Yeah, and just looking at that shot, it's a little hard to really know what happened there, because it almost looked like number 9 is Jason Bright. He spun almost by himself, and Webber had to maybe avoid him. Here we go, we get a better look here, but I'm not sure that they actually all hit each other. I think it was all sort of done by themselves.
Well, Webber here just knows what's going to happen, so he said, I'm getting out of this. So he's driven straight into the rubble there and got out of it. Jason Bright looked like he might have just got too much rear brake. Would that have been a fair
It's possible,
comment?
yeah, and certainly that's a great shame, because I know those guys are very, very keen to impress everybody, you know, so that when they go off to overseas that they can go off with a bit of momentum, but certainly, you know, it's broken up the race. But, you know, this type of racing where you got young guns like that, things like that will happen.
Yeah, well, Paul Stokel out in front. He's had tremendous success at the Australian Grand Prix meetings. He's a very complete young driver. There's oil flags out on the corner, as you can see now, so perhaps that had something to do with that. There could have been a bit of oil there when Jason Bright lost the car. It looked like he may have had a little bit too much rear brake on, but that could have been the oil. But coming back to Stokel, drives the Barana car. Now, some years ago, the Baranas were making quite a name for themselves in open-wheeler racing back in the days of the Elfin cars. And Jeff, you were well and truly overseas in those days. They were pretty heady days. Chris Hocking, you're looking at there in that distinctive coloured blue and green car, or turquoisey car going off the circuit. But he's carried the flag for Barana and done a terrific job.
Yeah, he definitely has. It's actually not a Barana car he's driving. He's driving a 91 Reynard, which seems to be the best car right now. But Barana are running the car for him, and that actually is the same car that I won the Formula 2 Championship in 1975 here at Barana before I left to go overseas. So it was interesting to see that Malcolm Ramsey and all those people are still involved in racing now after I've come back after 20 years.
Well, they supported you, and now they're supporting Paul Stokel. Second now, let's come up. It's car 21 is Cramp, and then we have Edwards, Weeks, Taylor, Minogue, Kaplan, Galloway. They're the top runners at the moment. This man will run away with this now.
Definitely. I think he's looked in the mirror and can't believe his luck. All he's got to do now is, you know, save the car, just stay enough in front so the others can't get too close, but just save the car for the next 6-lap race.
Steve Cramp is in second place. He'd be blessing his luck if he's saying, how good is this? I'm up into second. Darren Edwards now moves up into third place. Then we have Weeks following him. Weeks' performance not quite as good as he normally is. He's pretty well normally up the pointy end of the field. At the moment, he's running slightly back off the pace. But don't detract from this fellow. He's copped a lot of pressure from a lot of young drivers over the years that I've watched him race open wheelers, and he always seems to come through. Never always had the best budget, but certainly came away with the rewards.
Yeah, there's no doubt that Paul Stokel's a very, very talented driver. To drive these cars as successfully as he has in the past couple of years and beat all comers, really, you know, you have to have a lot of talent. And he's one of these guys who, you know, he really doesn't have the sponsorship or the help behind him to really jump up into another series, which I think he really would like to do. It's very difficult here, for instance, to get out of these cars and get an opportunity to run in the 5-litre cars or even the 2-litre cars. And he's kind of stuck in what I call no man's land. He's dominating the class that he's in, but he doesn't have the resources to jump up into the next class.
Stephen Cramp running in the distinctive Just Jeans car, the red, white and blue car. He'd be pretty happy with this. Sitting up into second place at the moment, got through all of the chaos and steered his way out of trouble, and now sits in second place. So as you watch Steve Cramp work his way around here, that's Albert Park. We'll take a break, come back to the Formula Holden race. Stay with us. Okay, Kenny Callender, there was an exciting finish, wasn't the Canterbury Stakes? Not quite so exciting here because Paul Stokel really has got this wrapped up. He's done a great job. Running second is Cramp and Edwards. They're second and third. Weeks, Kaplan, Taylor, Minogue. They are the top runners. But there we are there. There's the readout. I know, Jeff, that you're pretty excited about some of these young blokes that have got sponsorship from good Australian companies, and that's a good thing for the sport.
Oh, absolutely. I find it very exciting, really, because myself, my two brothers, Gary and David, I mean, really, we're the only Australians who've been waving the flag overseas over the last 10 years, and it's been pretty lonely out here. And somebody goes off, number 14 is, and we don't have number 14 on our list here. But getting back to Chas Talbot there. But getting back, I think it's fantastic that Australian Yellow Pages and the Skilled Engineering, who are sponsoring Jason Bright, that they're getting behind some Australian drivers and giving them the opportunity to go overseas and giving them a start. And I don't think that's happened before. It's almost a first, and I hope that that continues.
Well, there we go. Paul Stokel now, you can see, just diving and darting around the back, just taking it nice and easy. Doesn't want to relax in concentration. These cars can get away from you pretty quickly if you relax too much.
Oh, definitely. You know, they're a flat, what they call a flat bottom car, and they're very, very sensitive, and they're very sensitive to bumps. But Paul Stokel goes across the line for an easy victory. But even though you are that far out in front, you still have to be on top of the car all the time.
Done a great job there, and here he goes. Paul Stokel, terrific, impressive performance yet again from this talented driver, and across the line now, and he would be absolutely over the moon, I'll tell you, because Steve Cramp there comes in second place. There's Stokel. Third place will be Edwards, and that's Darren Edwards. Terrific job from him too. Probably a surprise. A lot of the stars of the class took themselves out in that unusual manoeuvre where we think maybe they hit a patch of oil, but it probably just destroyed the race from that sort of a spectacle. But this man has created the spectacle he wanted to create. He's won the race. There we go, just recapping again. Stokel, Cramp, Edwards, Weeks, Kaplan and Taylor. That's how they finished. We'll take a break. We'll come back right here in Melbourne, where the sun is out, the flags are fluttering in the breeze, and there's a lot of racing going on.